Welcome. Let me add my welcome and congratulations to all of you on your students joining here at Santa Clara in the Leavey School of Business. We are very excited to meet your students and all of you when you join us in the fall. My name is Joanne Scheibels. I work as the Senior Assistant Dean in the Undergraduate Business Programs Office. If you had an opportunity to watch a video which I recorded earlier, let me just remind you that the Undergraduate Business Programs Office within the Leavey School of Business is the location that we share with our students to come and get questions answered in terms of kind of their one-stop location for business-related questions, as well as referrals or other questions that they might have about the university that we can help them find. We will tell your student this a number of times so that they'll have that information. My goal today, or our goal today, is to introduce you in just a moment to a great group of panelists who are going to help provide information to all of you. But as you know, this session is in particular for parents, family members, other significant individuals who are helping support your student transition to Santa Clara University and the Leavey School of Business. Our goal today, very specifically, is to talk about the academic advising and registration component for fall classes. So you will find our comments really are focused very much around that, because as you know, your student will be going through the registration process in the next 2 weeks. So we're looking forward to seeing them around that process. We have a brief PowerPoint presentation, which we will go through, which we anticipate will answer many questions that have already been sent to us. And then we will also have an opportunity to hear from some of our students and a faculty member about what they would share with you as family members and students about what it takes to be successful as you transition to college, both as a student and also how to be successful in the classroom. So some really great tips that way. We will then open it up for Q&A. As Lori shared, we can either do that via chat and or coming off your mic. And then we probably will finish at about a half an hour, 45 minutes, depending on where we're at. And we'll stay, the panelists and I will stay for any additional questions that you have individually that you might like to answer. Finally, let me say this is your time. We know it's valuable. We certainly appreciate you being here. But if you've gotten the information you need and you need to exit for whatever reason, please feel free to do that. We completely understand in terms of that. So again, Joanne Scheibels, Senior Assistant Dean for the Undergraduate Business Programs Office. Our office is the organization that interfaces with the academic departments to run the undergraduate side of the house in the Leavey School of Business. So welcome. With that, I'll move on. We have 2 students, and I think we're going to have Grace introduce herself first.
Hello, everyone. My name is Grace. I'm a rising junior, and I'm a marketing major from San Diego, California. Last year, I was a first-year peer advisor, and I was also a desk assistant in Dunn Residence Hall. And next year, I'm going to be a sophomore peer advisor, and then I'm studying abroad in Lisbon, Portugal in the fall. And this summer, I've been a summer peer advisor, so I've been meeting with some of your students, helping them with tips and tricks for registration. And the main reason I decided to join the peer advising program was because of how big of an impact my first year peer advisor had on my freshman year, and making that transition from high school to college super seamless. So.
Awesome. My name is Andre Gaviola. I am a rising second year student here at Santa Clara in the Leavey School of Business. I'm from San Jose, California, so a local student like I'm sure many of you are, and I'm an accounting and information systems major, sustainability minor, and some of my involvements on campus include the Delta Sigma Pi business fraternity. I'm in Barkada of SCU, which is a Filipino club on campus, and then this summer I'm also participating as a peer advisor for the business school, as well as an orientation leader. So you might see me hosting a few events online for orientation, and then of course welcoming you all and helping you get situated on campus in the fall in September.
Thank you, Andre. Welcome everyone to the seminar. I'm Savannah Shi, a faculty at Marketing Department. I've been here for 12 years and I mainly teach the undergraduate courses. I also serve as a chair of the undergraduate leadership team, in which we oversee the undergraduate curriculum and the innovation of the curriculum. So I'm here to answer any question you may have regarding the curriculum we have at Leavey Business School, as well as student learning experience in the classroom.
Hi, my name is Hannah Cole. I am the Senior Administrative Assistant at the Undergraduate Business Programs Office. I also graduated from Santa Clara University in 2022 with a double degree in dance and marketing. So I'm what's considered to be a super bronco. Yeah, I'll pass it over to Denise.
Hi, everybody. My name is Denise Ho. I'm the Senior Director of Academic Advising for undergrad business students. My role is to provide leadership and oversight over academic advising and support services. My role is to guide students through their 4 years at SU, and I oversee a dedicated team of peer advisors like Andre and Grace, undeclared faculty advisors who provide comprehensive support to help students navigate, their academic programs, make informed decisions, and achieve their educational goals. I work a lot with different faculty and staff and campus partners, such as the Drama Advising and Learning Resource Center. So in short, I just really love working with people and coaching them during their 4 years at SCU. Hannah, would you like to go ahead and share our presentation with everybody? Awesome. So welcome everybody to the Leavey School of Business. We're so excited that you're here and having your student join us. So let's go ahead and go to the first slide, Hannah. So what I'm doing and also our summer peer advisors are doing is we're really trying to prepare your student for registration and course selection. So there are a couple of things that I wanted to kind of tell you about that's really important. One is the primary way that we're communicating with your student is through their SU email. So please make sure that they're on it and monitoring it, because that's how we're sending tons of information for them and for them to access things through and a lot of things that they have to log into is through their SU email. So please make sure that they are checking that often. Back in mid-June, they were invited into the LSB Advising Registration Camino course. All of them have been added, and I've seen the activity really increase in the past couple of days. So this is their one-stop shop for everything that they need to know about core curriculum, what math they should take, questions about second language. If they're coming in with transfer credit, everything is on here, and students are able to access it 24 hours a day. Other things that students should be doing is they should review and take any placement exams if needed. So that's the Calculus Ready exam, or known as the CRE or ALEX. Some people are like, I missed the deadline, can I take it? Of course, you can still take it now and you'll get your results pretty quickly. For second language placement survey, it can take up to 14 days to get results. So we encourage students to take it as soon as possible. The business school is offering 2 additional resources for students to kind of get them ready for registration, because we know it's a lot of information. So I'm hosting group advising sessions. I just had my first one yesterday. I met with 25 amazing students and had such great questions. So this session is me covering Camino, because I know some students don't want to watch it via video and they would rather have me present it live. And then we had about 30 to 40 minutes of Q&A with students, which was really great to kind of get to know them and kind of hear their questions and help guide them along. We are offering one-on-one appointments with our summer peer advisors, so they can meet with Andre or Grace. We have 6 of them, and so there's an online appointment system. I think I checked this morning, we had about over 60 students already signing up for one-on-one appointments with our summer peer advisors. So we tell them to make sure that they sign up very quickly because their spots are filling up. And at any time, if they have questions, they can always reach out to us at our email of lsb-peeradvisor@su.edu. we're happy to help them and answer any questions that they might have, even if it's just like a quick question that they have versus not needing a group session or one-on-one appointment. I do want to say, please have your student reach out to us with questions. We're happy to help, and we want to make sure that they feel comfortable before they register. And the next slide. Great. So all this preparation, they're learning all this information, but what actually happens during registration is what students usually ask me. There's two parts to it. So the first part is students will need to log into their Workday account. I highly recommend that they use a laptop and have reliable Wi-Fi when they do this. It's just easier to navigate because I've seen students trying to register via their phone or tablet. It's just not as easy as doing it on a laptop. So I highly recommend students to do that. Our Workday registration system is new. So our peer advisors have created a to-do tutorial video for students to watch, and it's loaded on the Camino website. So please encourage them to watch that. The video will tell them how to search for classes, how to save a schedule or like put their classes in a cart and get ready for what registration looks like. So let's say they're registering on Monday at 10 o'clock. I recommend at like 9:50 to log on to Workday, make sure that they have good Wi-Fi connection. And once 10 o'clock hits, they'll all hit a little magical registration button will appear on their saved schedule for them to hit to register. The part two is that there is an advisor on standby to help any of our students who are having registration issues, are unsure actually what to take. They can also log on to there too, but really we have someone there to advise or troubleshoot any issues that students have. So they're having issues getting into classes, have them log on to the Zoom. And so we can help make sure that they get a full set of classes. So by the time their registration ends, they will have registered for their first quarter at Santa Clara University. The Zoom link will be sent to their students' SCU email about a week before. So we just want to make sure that they are checking their SCU email. And if they didn't get it, that they need to make sure they contact the Drop-In Center for that Zoom link. So that's it for my overview of what we're doing for academic advising preparation and what the day will look like. And I'll turn it over to Joanne to talk about the core curriculum.
Thanks, Denise. So just a quick overview of the core curriculum. What does the curriculum look like for students at Santa Clara and in particular business students? So these areas that you see in front of you really culminate to result in a degree from the business school at Santa Clara University. So on the left-hand side, where it says university, that stands for all of our university core requirements. So university core requirements are required classes that all students at the university have to take, whether they are business, engineering, or arts and science. So you're going to hear students are taking their critical thinking and writing class, otherwise known as CTW. We require 3 religion classes, which we have broad, very interesting coverages of religion that students find fascinating. We do ethics classes in our core curriculum, C&I, so cultures and ideas. All of those classes are part of the university core. As a business student, all of our business students on the right-hand side take a business school core curriculum. These are foundational classes that we ask all our students to take and are required to take in order to graduate as a business student. So here you will find our Business 70 class. So all of our first year students will be in Business 70, which is an introductory business class called Contemporary Business Issues in the fall. That will give them a foundation of business and business language. But also students will be required to take 2 accounting classes. We have 3 econ classes, a number of management classes, upper division marketing classes, a series of classes that will help them explore during their first couple years here at Santa Clara, the number of areas in business so that they then are able to determine what their major selection will be. Let me stay a minute on that. So for our students, and let me emphasize this, students do not need to declare their major until the end of their sophomore year. We actually have all of our students come in as undeclared business students. While they may have checked an interest area on their application, that's great. But it's important that they explore and land someplace that they're excited about in terms of studying. So university core, business school core, and then major requirements, depending on the major they choose. And then on the bottom, you can see that it could be that there might be a second major. Hannah is a good example of that, who found a passion both in marketing and dance. So, or it could be a minor. We have many minors within the business school, but we also have minors outside of the business school, and business school students can participate in either of those, inside or outside. And then electives. Certainly we hope that students come and take classes that they're just interested in taking, because what an exciting time to be able to do that. So next, I'm going to talk a little bit about the math requirements. And math, several questions came up from many of you who are on our session today around math requirements and second language requirements. So I'm going to take a minute to try to provide you with information around both of those areas, probably more specific information around the math requirement, and then direct you as to where to find information around the modern languages requirement as well. All business students who join us in the fall are required to take calculus, and we require 2 calculus classes. And there's 2 ways that students can do this: by completing either Math 30 and 31, which is calculus for business, or Math 11 and 12, which is calculus and analytic geometry. People ask what the difference is. In general, the information and math pieces are the same. Math 30 and 31 very specifically uses more business examples, whereas Math 11 and 12 is a little bit more social science directed. And in particular, if you have a student who's very interested in math, might want to go further in math, either a math major as well, or just continue their math learning, we encourage people to look at Math 11 and 12. As it says, either of the tracks will satisfy the math requirement, and the prerequisite for Math 30 and Math 11 is Math 9 if it's needed, depending on what the calculus readiness exam provides you. If we go to the next slide, I can answer the questions for those of you who have a student who might have taken advanced placement calculus in high school. And so this will help you understand, based on how they did on their advanced placement exam, where they might place. So for an example, if a student took calculus AB and scored a 4 or 5, that's going to help them earn credit for Math 11, so they can come to the university and enroll in Math 12. Similar at BC, you can see the score there, what that's equal to, and where they would enroll. And BC, again, the scores, and that would provide BC, if they got a 4 or 5, essentially they would have the requirement for both a Math 11 and 12 taken care of. So in essence, their calculus requirement has been taken care of once they come to the university. So this information has been shared with your student, and we're very good at providing information to students around their math requirements. So let's talk a little bit about, at the next slide, about what it means to take the calculus readiness exam. And a couple of people say, I don't think my student did very well on that, and what does that mean? So a couple things around math. One, most students will need to take the calculus readiness exam unless they've waived out of math or AP'd out of math in terms of where they're headed. You can see the scores here that tells us where the student needs to land. If a student gets a score of 0 to 75, then the class they need to start with is Math 9, and they take a Math 9 lab, which is required, and they enroll in both of those. So they will enroll in both of those in the next couple weeks with us. If they score above 75, 76 to 100, they will start in Math 11 or 30, and there is not a lab required. Let me emphasize a point after years of experience in terms of doing this is that what's important is that the student starts where the CRE tells them they need to start. There's a lot of adjusting to the university, and classes move very quickly at the college level. So if a student is disappointed that they didn't do as well and are placing into pre-calculus math 9, encourage them and support them in taking that class, because it will give them a good foundation, even if some of it might be a little repetitive, and they'll be better ready to move to the next sequence of math. Some of you asked in your questions, well, if that's the case, will that put my student behind in terms of their requirements? The answer to that is no. So we know that that needs to be built in to their requirements. Some students will get right into math right away in the fall. Some students may not, but know that we offer all of our math classes every single quarter for students to get access and take. Denise, anything you want to add about that before we move on to second language?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay, great. Second language, quite simply, we'll talk with students a bit about second language, but mostly we will refer your student to the Modern Languages department, because everyone comes with lots of varied both experiences, background, or lack of background in any kind of language requirement. So through the Camino class that was sent to your students, Denise linked a website and a video that's very helpful to the student to understand where they might land in terms of second language requirement. The other piece is that on the website for Modern Languages, there's some great FAQs about what it means in terms of in answering questions that commonly come up about the second language requirement. And then finally, I would say that we will have many advisors able to help students in terms of language and language requirements as we roll into registration next week. And I'll pass it over to Denise to talk about what the fall quarter classes might look like.
Sorry about that. One, parents, you're asking really great questions. So if I don't get to you, I apologize, as I'm trying to type in fast and furious here. So this is what we shared with your first year students. So they'll be taking 4 classes. The first one is a pre-enrolled class. So the majority of them will be enrolled in a critical thinking and writing, or a CTW1. The pre-enroll courses will either start fall or winter, and they can look this up in Workday. They're currently inputting them, but they will be posted in your student's Workday at least 24 hours before, so they'll know what class they've already have in their schedule. I've told students to work around this pre-enrolled class when they're selecting everything. The second class that business students are required to take is Business 70. It's our contemporary business class, which is a great foundational class that all our first years will take, that will give them a really good introduction to what it is to be in the business world. The last 2 classes, we leave it up to the students on what they want to take. And so here are just a couple of things that I've made recommendations for them. They can take an SU core class or business core class. We tell students to mix it up and really make sure that they're kind of making progress in both of their core classes as they progress through. So they might be looking to take a math class, or maybe they want to start their second language, but we also have other things like Econ 1 or arts or diversity that your students can take and look into.
Wonderful. Great, thank you, Denise. We can go on, Hannah. So we're going to give you a moment to take a picture of this. In addition to the LSB peer advisor email, there's another email where you as family and support members can send questions to. And we will be monitoring this email throughout the summer to help answer all of the questions that you are interested in and providing information around that. With that, Hannah, why don't we can stop sharing and we're just going to take a few minutes before, I know you have a number of questions that have come up, and some of the students And Professor Shi may be looking at the questions in the chat, so they might be able to integrate some of their responses around that. But I'd like to transition from our PowerPoint that talked a little bit about specifically what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks to give you family members from our students and faculty members' perspective some helpful hints in terms of what it means to be successful as a student, both as a student member and from a faculty member's perspective. So Grace and Andre, I'm going to call on you first, okay? So Grace, why don't you start us off? And we had talked with our students about sharing what, as they think back to their first year, what was helpful to them to be successful as you transitioned to the university?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that for me, what was the most helpful was time management and keeping a planner to make sure I was on top of all of my schoolwork. I would write down when all my teachers had office hours in case I had questions. All my teachers were very available, so you can meet with them almost every day or every other day. So keeping a planner was definitely, that helped me through my first year. And yeah, just managing your time the best you could so that you can prepare for any exams, any homework, then also integrate time for yourself, either to just relax, hang out with friends. So definitely a planner is what I would recommend.
Great. Andre, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. I think I would definitely second what Grace said about time management. I think the beauty of college, especially what I found from my first year, was that you have a lot of free time coming into college, definitely much more than you had in high school. And it all comes down to how you manage that time. So what helped for me personally is developing a schedule and a routine that I would try to stick to as best as possible. So for example, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, my classes would always get out at around 3 p.m. So after 3 p.m., I would get a meal, I would rest for a little bit in my dorm. And then by 5 p.m. or so, I'm back in the library and I'm studying, I'm doing my work. And if I follow that routine, it helps me stay very productive and on top of my things. And then, of course, I also set aside some time to relax, take some self-care time, and then hang out with friends as well. And then I think another thing that I'd add is also don't be afraid to ask professors for help. I know I've never had a bad experience with asking for support from a professor. They're obviously very knowledgeable about their subjects, and they're always willing to help in whatever way possible for any students.
Terrific. Thank you. Thank you both. I'm going to move it to the faculty member perspective with Professor Shi to talk about, from her perspective in working with undergraduate students as a faculty member, what does she see students doing or her recommendations that you can pass along to your student about what helps to be successful in the classroom, particularly?
Yeah, sure. So I think two things stand out for undergraduate student. One is that planning and get organized is really important, because for the college courses, it's very different from the high schools. Each professor have their own schedules, and you will see some professor only have one final exam, that's it. But other professors may have 5 different quizzes at different time points. So my suggestion is to have a student sign a Google Calendar and just put everything down there so they know what's going on in the next week or next 2 weeks. So getting organized is a key to be successful. And we always see those students who are super organized always are doing very well in the class. So that's one. The other thing is, I always encourage students to reach out to their professors, because we have a relatively short quarter. It's only 10 weeks, but there's a lot more information the professor can provide for the student. And for the business class, there is always one building on top of the other. For instance, there is one foundational class for marketing department called Marketing 101, which is a principle in marketing. But then if you have time to talk with the professor, you may learn that there's a lot of different topics in marketing, such as retail or channel management or brand management. And not only you know what they are, but also the professor can point you to the following elective courses so that you don't have to fish out all the courses that you may need to take to complete your major. And then professor may also point you to different industry connections that may help you build up your career. So those are my 2 suggestions for our student, undergraduate student.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that. Those are great suggestions from all of you. A little bit about organization. And so for those parents out there, I have a college student too. She was not the most organized person initially starting out, but she's learning, and we're here to help them learn that, right? So if you're concerned about your student, we repeat information a lot. We repeat deadlines a lot. So we know developmentally for college students that they need to have things repeated a number of times. So that's what we're here to do. So again, it's a process in terms of bringing them on, figuring out their independence, and moving forward and taking care of what they need to. So some of us come at that sooner than others. So, but know that we're here to support them, as are their colleagues. Peer-to-peer support is just amazing at Santa Clara. So I think you'll find it very, very helpful. Let me go back to Professor Shi for one of the questions that was sent in, Savannah, was a question about kind of the power of a laptop, or does it matter which laptop students have in the business school? So like memory, if they're going to be a marketing major, which you're a marketing faculty member, any concern about that at any rate?
No, any laptop would do. So in a business school, especially, for example, you're in a management or marketing or even econ major, accounting, there's not that much complicated program you need to run. So any laptop or computer would do. No need to spend $5,000 on a computer.
Yeah, and even a computer that you've had in terms of those pieces.
Yes, that will work. So most of us work on Excels and ours. So
perfect. Andre, let me ask you this question. Another question that came through was, is there a business calculator that's needed in particular for business students?
As far as I know, there is no specific calculator. I took math 11 and 12 because I was interested in pursuing other sciences as well. And for that, pretty much any calculator, like a regular TI 30 calculator, I think is what they recommend. Some classes will say you're not allowed a graphing calculator. So if you do have one, then you might want to get one that's not graphing, because you're not allowed to use that on tests. But that's about it for calculators.
Perfect. That's great. And then Grace, one last question before I go. Denise, I'm going to come to you to see if there's anything else you want to cover that's come up predominantly in the chat, and then we'll open it up. Grace, another question that came up from families was around career counseling and support. Can you talk a little bit about what either you've experienced or others, friends have experienced in terms of support from around internships, careers, pieces, etc.?
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to kind of outside of like the peer advisors and advisors within the business school, the Drawman Center is a huge help. They help with not only class registration, but they can help with career advice as well. We also have a career center on campus, and they do mock interviews. They do resume reviews that I've used before. And then I've also met with the PCC, which is a peer career consultant. And those are usually juniors and seniors. They have different peer career consultants for every major, and they help you with their experience with getting internships, and they've been a huge help to me. So I would say the Career Center and then going to the peer career consultant website are both great resources for career help and internships.
That's excellent. Great responses. I think the other thing that our panelists would say is that transitioning in your first quarter is a lot, right? So it's about making connections, getting yourself settled in, getting yourself organized, and then moving forward. So the most important thing is that we have a good experience that way. Not try to do too much, but also getting involved somewhere so that you have some connections, and then focusing on academics in terms of moving forward. Denise, anything in particular that you want to highlight from the chat before we open it up?
Sure. Andre, I'm getting questions about parents about the social fun side, although I think advising registration is pretty fun. But Andre, could you do a little bit of an intro on like orientation leaders and where students can find that information of upcoming events?
Absolutely. So we have a platform for orientation leaders called Bronco Exchange. And if you go to scu.edu/orientation, you'll be able to find a link to access this platform called Bronco Exchange. And this is where all of our online events will be hosted over the summer. So you can find events that are like social events where you get to meet other first-year students. We also have informational events depending on what your major is and how to adjust the campus, all these different things. And these events will be going on throughout the summer. So July, August, I'll be hosting a few myself. And then come welcome weekend, we'll also have a few opportunities to a lot of events in person, of course, to again meet other first-year students. And then also get familiar with the campus. And then, of course, if you have any more specific questions, you can feel free to ask me as well.
Andre, can you put the Bronco Exchange link for the parents in the chat for me?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go fetch that right now.
Yeah. And your students are so lucky to have Andre as an orientation leader. I have a couple of things that I wanted to point out is there's some confusion of when their student is registering. And so when they deposited, they got an email and went on the Drammen website and they chose their date and time. So they should have it already. So please ask your student. If your student is unsure of what day they're registering, they can email the Drammen Center. If one of my colleagues want to drop in the Drammen Center email in the chat, that would be fantastic. And the additional support to get them ready for that registration appointment is either a group session, advising session with me, or they can make an appointment with a LSB summer peer advisor. So I just wanted to make sure I had that two distinctions because people are like, when do I register? And I think that's it. All business questions or all math questions, you can email cre directors@su.edu. And I don't know if we gave the website for the second language also, because I noticed we said to go to there on the presentation, but we may not have sent the link out. So we'll make sure to put that in there too. And I think that's all that it was needed and covered.
Great.
There is one question from a parent. She's asking whether we can use courses to create an individual study major.
Good. Would you like to handle that, Savannah? Would you like me to connect on that?
Maybe you're a better person to answer that.
So the individual studies major is a major that's offered actually through the College of Arts and Science and in the School of Business. What that means is that a student works very specifically with an academic faculty person, and then Professor Shi would be reviewing the individual studies major, and they do a compilation of business classes and some areas outside of the business school. What I share with students is great opportunity to kind of create your own major. That said, we've had very few students do it because it is a tremendous amount of work. Not that our students shy away from doing a lot of work, but it takes a great deal of time and effort. But we're happy to talk offline with any student who's interested in that or family members who are thinking about doing that. Thanks, Savannah. Other questions? Let's open it up. And so you've got the chat, or please come online if you'd like to just pop your question in, and either you can come in and look and see, we can look if anybody's got their hand up, or just come off of your, unmute yourself. Any questions for Professor Shi or the students or Denise that we can help you with?
Hi, I see a question here about system access for parents. I have no idea when the tuition is due and, whatever other information. So I don't know if this is a business specific or a general SEU question, but if you have any information about that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Lori, do you want to answer that, or would you like me to direct them to One Stop?
Yes, for One Stop.
Yeah. So one of the things that we'll share with families is a great location for you to connect with to answer that question specifically is the university's One Stop location. It's literally called One Stop. So if you go into our website and call up One Stop, they have both phone numbers. They're great about answering the phone over there, and also emails where you can get all of those questions answered. They are great about deadlines and financial pieces that you may need to know.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, I just have a real quick question. For the one-on-one peer advising, I know we go to Camino, but where in Camino do we sign up to either meet with Grace or Andre?
It's right on the front page. So it'll say a welcome message for me. They just need to scroll down.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
They'll look forward to meeting with your student.
I have another question again, just to clarify then. So that July 11 session is kind of like this, but it will be with students and I think Professor Shi, and then like the July 19th is when you're actually registering for classes. Is that right?
That's correct. So I'm only hosting group advising sessions on Tuesdays. So it would be very much like this and answering questions, and then the students will register Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. That's the
Wonderful.
registration.
Thank you.
Yes, and it is like this, but it gets down to more specific tips and tricks is what Denise calls it, but really about how do you do this, right? So let us walk you through that. Grace and Andre, is that fair to say in terms of the questions that have come up? Good. Excellent. Other questions? Thank you. These are great.
Hi. Sorry.
Andrew, we'll go with you.
Hi, I'm Susie. I'm his mom.
Okay.
I've had other kids go to school, and there's always a scramble during registration. It gets very stressful. So I kind of come in at it in that vein. So I did ask about getting into the classes, like the Math 30 and the Business 70 that are required for first semester. And they did respond that there's multiple options. Let's say they can't make it work in the schedule. Are there ways that after the fact that they go back and we try to make it happen? Or is it like once that orientation session is over, they're sort of stuck with what they have? Or how does that work?
Denise, you want me to take that? I'll start. So a couple things. One, some great questions. A question that was sent by one family member was, do we divide up numbers of seats across the number of times that students register? The answer to that is yes. So we don't open up all our seats on the very first day of registration. Just want to make sure there's seats for everybody at the latter registration as well. So that's first. Secondly, for Business 70, we have 17 sections of Business 70. There is plenty of room for all of our students to be in Business 70. Actually, we'll be knocking on your student's door if they didn't register for Business 70. We will make sure they get that class. Let me talk about math for a minute. Now, math is outside of the business school. So is it conceivable that your student may want to put math down? And they should put math down as a priority, but will all of them get into math? Probably not. So the math department's not going to offer enough space for the 500 first year students that we have coming, but over the course of the year, we know that they will then get into the math moving forward. That's why it's so important to have first choice, second choice in terms of moving forward. Can it get a little hard? Yes, sometimes when you're using a system you don't know, you think everything's going to be open for you, and there's choices that you want firsthand, and you may not get your first choices all the time, but we work hard. You will have a full schedule. It will meet requirements. And then the other thing I share with families, and this is a big thing, is that we offer classes in the university from 8 o'clock in the morning into the evening. And so 8 o'clock is hard for some people, but what's interesting is that first year students often hesitate to take classes after 3 o'clock. So as a support person, you could share with your student that, it's great to take classes in the late afternoon into the evening, because in some cases you have business professionals coming to the university, living and breathing the content that they are teaching with your student later on in the afternoon or early evening. So that's important. That's a shift for a typical high school schedule and student. Professor Shi, anything else that you're seeing? Otherwise, I'm going to do a couple more and then maybe tie it up, Denise.
Denise
Yes, sorry, I
answered
have a
all of
question.
them.
Sorry, I have a question earlier. My kids have a problem with the health center, the cover center, to enter all the health information and the immunization information. Would that block the registration? She tried to call and she always got into like voicemail, so she's unable to finish it yet.
Yeah, it shouldn't. It shouldn't, you can call One Stop, but it shouldn't do that. So there's a bit of a time frame that they'll give the students to be able to finish it. It should not hold up their registration.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I'll ask this one more. I'm kind of out of it, but is 4 courses full load?
Denise?
So technically 12 units is considered a full-time student, but we recommend students take 16 units of their
Okay.
first quarter.
And then the 4 that you recommended earlier, would that add up to 16?
Yes, it would.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
I have a quick question. I was wondering if the immunization records website was back up to upload everything.
We wouldn't have that information. I'm sorry. So you could contact the Cal Health Center and or One Stop who might be able to help you.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Oh, hello.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Sorry. So I just wanted a clarification on the advising. I was not sure. So one is the academic advising, correct? That the student is scheduled for, and then there is the peer-to-peer advising. Is that the other one that you were saying? And there was a Google Doc that I saw on the link. So I'm a little confused. Are there 3 advising sessions required, or?
Denise?
So none of the advising sessions are required. You're only required to attend the registration appointment. I just want to make sure that's clear. We highly recommend students to come to either my group advising or make an appointment with a peer advisor. But it's completely optional because everything that the student needs to know is on the Camino website. So the only thing really the student needs to attend, bare minimum, is their registration appointment.
So, okay. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
And so I just want to make sure, because it seems like a lot of people are really confused about that. So they really just need to go to the registration appointment. But what we're offering is for students to get prepared for that registration appointment, because it can be a lot. A lot of information, as you can see in this chat, about questions about what math they should take second language. So that's why we tell students and offer that they can meet with a peer advisor one-on-one, or they can come to my group workshop. So we just want to make sure we're offering different services to the students to support them to prepare for their registration appointment.
So is the registration appointment the same as the academic advising session?
No, 2 different things.
Oh, I see.
2 different things.
Okay.
One to prepare, the other
Denise,
to execute.
how does my son sign up for your July 11 group session?
Yeah. So if they go on the homepage of their Camino website, if they scroll down, they'll see it. So it'll be first sign up for a peer advisor advising appointment, and then the second link is to mine.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. What I'm going to do with our time, I'm going to ask our panelists just to say any final thoughts or words of encouragement. I'm going to start with Professor Shi, then go to Andre and Grace, and Denise is in here. And then we will all stay on for a little bit in terms of the other questions that each of you individually may have. This has been a wonderful session with great questions. So you're having the common questions that often students have as well. Again, we're here to help. Asking for and providing you with support is what we're here to do. So with that, Professor Shi.
I see there's a lot of logistical question. It may sound a little hectic during this registration period, but rest assured we have a lot of resources to help you and help your son and daughter to get them started. And there's a lot of beautiful places to visit in Santa Clara. I hope they will come enjoy not only the campus, but also our curriculum, our professors, and their peer companion.
Thanks, Savannah. Andre.
Yeah, definitely second what Professor Shi said. I would say again, feel free to reach out to any one of us. We're very open to helping new first year transfer students with whatever they need help with. And then of course, try not to stress too much about the registration process. I know it can get overwhelming at times, but if you look at the bigger picture, we have structured, SEU has structured the curriculum in such a way that even if you might mess up a little bit on your first quarter, you will still be on track to graduate within a timely manner in the university. So there's definitely no issues at all. If this registration doesn't work out so well, there's plenty of chances to catch up and stay on track throughout the rest of your years here at Santa Clara.
Nicely said, Andre. Thank you for adding that. Absolutely. Great.
Yeah, I second everything that's been being said. I know it's a super stressful time, and it's just gonna get easier. They're gonna start to understand the registration process, and we're all happy to help. And there's a ton of resources that hopefully make this time a little bit less stressful and easier. And like Andre said, I know that the first quarter for registration can be super stressful. I only took 14 quarters my fall of freshman year, and I'm still on track to graduate. So yeah, I know it's super stressful, but try to use the resources. We're all available and want to help as much as possible. So
Denise, anything you want to add?
There's still confusion about registration and advising just based on the wordage, and I'm not sure how else I can make it more clear. So Joanne, I don't know if maybe you can clear it up about it, but I think if you have really questions about when your students actually registering or enrolling in classes, please have them check their SU email the Drummond Center, or give them a call today, since our first registration is happening on Monday.
Two different pieces. Okay. And again, the Camino website that they've been sent is going to help them understand the advising components. The registration time has been sent to them from the Drummond Academic Advising Center. It's two different pieces. Okay. And if for some reason somebody misses something, don't worry, we're not going anywhere. And we want your student here, we'll work it out. So that's most important, right? So it's a lot of new territory. We get it, right? A lot of new territory, but it's also exciting, so exciting that everyone's going to be joining us. And we're so looking forward to meeting everyone. So we'll work with everybody. There's nothing wrong is going to happen. It's just a matter of working through the steps. So everybody takes a deep breath, particularly your new student, and we're here to help. So, and that's what our business students do really well at. So they figure things out. It's a problem. If it didn't go right, step it back again and move forward again. So that's part of our learning process here. So we're going to stay on for anybody who has any particular questions, or again, use our emails that we sent you. We'll be checking those. But for those of you who are ready to move off, we went a little longer than expected with lots of great questions and information. But thank you all for both your interest, your support of your new student. We look forward to meeting you all in the fall. There'll be more information coming out about that. And we'll be here throughout the summer to help support you as you transition to the business school and the university. So with that, let me say thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Make sure your student gets some downtime. That's important. And we'll stay on for those of you who'd like to stay to ask some particular questions. So we'll give everybody a couple minutes to move off if they'd like. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you
Take
so
care,
much.
everyone.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
So it sounds like on registration day, you should really have a clear sense of the classes that you're taking. So is where is the best place, I guess, to look at course descriptions so that we can have a few choice A's, B's, C's, so we're sort of ready to go?
I can respond to that. It'll be listed on Workday. There's a search, it's like a Google search engine for courses that we're offering. And so they can go ahead and look through that. We also have shared this with the students with the requirement checklist. So there's a list of classes that they are required to take. And then also, I also shared with the students on the Camino page, a link to the undergrad bulletin, which is like everything and anything you need to know about academics. And so that has all the descriptions, but it can be really daunting for first year to read. So I usually tell them to go ahead and look on the Workday course selection. I don't know if our peer advisors have any other advice for students on how to look up course descriptions.
Kind of like Denise was saying, in Workday, there is a section called SU Find Course Sections, and in there you can look at any course that you want, and it is pretty daunting because I have every course that they're offering fall quarter. And so what I would recommend with that is when your student goes to look for maybe Business 70, for example, on the side of the search of the SU course sections tab, there's a section where you can filter things. So if your student wants to take a class at a certain time, or if they're looking for maybe a certain course requirement, like they want to look for a religion class, they can go under course tags and look for all of the religion 1 classes. So it'll just filter those, so they're only seeing that. So definitely have your student use on the left-hand side of the SU course sections. There's different tabs that they can filter to make searching for classes a little bit easier. So
let's go with thank you for raising your hand, Daniel. Let's go with you.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for staying over. So I have a question related to math. So my student, she's going to take this mini math course based on the CRE result, but that course won't time out until later part of August. So my question is, with respect to the registration deadline, will she be in time to finish that and so that she can register for Math 30?
I can respond to that. So what they're going to do is once they complete the course, the math department will work with the student to enroll in a Math 30 section. So even after registration, the math department will work with the student to either look at their schedule to see what Math 30 section would work for them. But they must complete the course first in August. So in August, the math department will be in touch with your student.
Then talk about the coming week, next week's registration. Can we assume success and temporarily put a placeholder for a Math 30 in there?
Yes. You won't be able to, because in the system it shows that they are not meeting the prerequisite for Math 30. So they would just register for their classes. They can enroll in a Math 9 temporarily, and then they'll take them out of the Math 9 and put them in a Math 30 section for fall. Yeah, no problem.
Sorry, I have a question.
Let me just ask a question before we leave. Are there any other specific questions for Professor Shi? Otherwise, I'm going to let her move off to her other pieces that she's planning for the fall. Any questions for Professor Shi in particular?
I was just trying to type in a question on the faculty advisor. So Denise and Joanne, please correct me if I'm wrong. So I believe the student will be assigned with a faculty advisor when they decide on their major. Is that correct?
That's correct, Savannah. So in their first year, each of our first years are assigned a peer advisor that they'll meet with quarterly. We have 5 undeclared faculty advisors. We don't assign students as they're coming in undeclared, and we want them to meet with a faculty advisor that is sparking their interest. So if they're interested in finance, they can meet with a finance faculty advisor, but they're also maybe thinking accounting, so they can meet with an accounting faculty advisor. And that's really just for students to self-select on which area that they're interested in, or just want to get to know more about that particular major before they make a decision. And then there's also the Drama and Advising Center too.
Great.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you. So Professor Shi, thank you so much for being with us. You're welcome to stay, but if you need to move on, we certainly understand that. Let's
Sure.
get, we're gonna do 2 more questions
Yeah,
and we'll wrap
sorry.
it up because we're after 12 noon. I have hands up for, is it Samida?
Yeah.
And then Lem.
I'm Sammy. I just go by Sammy, but I was wondering, like, I'm toggling around on Workday about like looking for a schedule for this fall, and I made like this like tentative schedule in Workday, and I'm just wondering, like, there's like a class I want to take, but it's showing like a wait list. So am I on the wait list like to take that class for like finance, or like how does that work? Am I gonna, like, on the registration day, am I just going to like hit like the register with the on that tentative schedule that I have? It's very complicated. Sorry.
Hi, Sammy. It sounds like you are an incoming student, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So maybe if we can hold, if you want to hold for a few minutes, we might be able to put, depending on what Grace and Andre's time are, they might be able to talk with you specifically around that, or could answer your question, direct message your question. The quick answer is that's a finance class. It's probably a class that's an upper division class that generally first-year students don't take.
I'm transferring in, so
okay. So transfers more specifically. So hang on, Sammy, okay? I'm
Thank
going to
you.
go to more general questions and we'll help you more specifically.
Sounds
offline.
great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Lem.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much. It's been very informative, so I really appreciate it. So I guess of the 4 classes that an incoming freshman has to take, 2 of them are already prescribed, the critical thinking one and the business 70, right?
Correct.
So for those, it's just finding a time that works in the schedule. Is that right? Or that?
Well, the critical thinking writing or religion class or CNI class is going to be, the time's going to be decided for the student. The business 70 class, the student will determine the time.
Okay, so there, of that first class that you showed, there's several options, not just critical thinking, but there's religion
Correct.
as
It
well.
might be
Okay.
one of those 3 options.
I
Yeah.
see. Okay. And then in the other 2, class 3 and 4,
Correct.
it's either a core for the university or the business. So econ 1 is a core, and then language would be a core. So there should be enough like to choose from.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
yeah, it should be kind of like you can go a lot of different directions, right?
A lot of different directions. And that's what you want to have. I appreciate the comments on, because your student wants to be broad and know that they're going to get into a class that's going to count towards something, but it may not be exactly what they're looking for exactly at the same time. So they want to have first choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice. Definitely. Perfect.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks. And Mandy, we're going to finish with you, everyone. So we're going to finish after Mandy's question.
Oh, actually, Denise already answered part of my question. So the second half of my question is, she already confirmed that I have a 2-hour appointment, and that is for the enrollment. Then my next question, actually, sorry to ask you or Denise, can someone post a link where to look for the LBS advisor appointment?
Sure. If the student logs into their Camino the Camino online class website, it's on the homepage. They just need to scroll down, and that's where they can sign up for an advising appointment.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for that.
Okay, we've stayed over time a bit. So hopefully that was helpful. Thank you to all of you for attending. Sammy, if you're on, could you just stay on with us for a minute? I want to make sure we get you directed to where you can get some help. But for the rest of you, we look forward to seeing you. Know that we're here to help your student and looking forward to starting registration with them next week. So again, thank you, everybody, and welcome to Santa Clara and the Business School.
Thank you so much.